I still remember the first time I brought Emily home. I was excited, nervous, maybe even a little smug because I knew she was the one. But the second my mom saw her, something shifted in the air. It was subtle at first, a polite smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. A handshake that was a second too long, too stiff. I told myself I was imagining it. I wasn't. My mom never liked Emily. She never said it outright, of course. That's not her style. But the little comments, the constant comparisons to my exes, the way she insisted on calling her that girl long after we were married, it all said the same thing. She doesn't fit with this family. Mom once told me when Emily had stepped out to take a phone call during dinner. She's cold. She never opens up. It's like she's always hiding something. She didn't volunteer much about her past, didn't talk about her parents, didn't laugh loudly like my mom preferred. But she was kind, thoughtful, smart. She loved me in a way that was quiet but steady. Not everyone could pull that off. I saw it in the way she'd leave me notes in my briefcase, the way she always remembered how I liked my coffee, not in marrying Emily, but in thinking they'd ever understand each other, the way she smiled soft and slow when I walked into the room. I was furious, not just because of the words, but because I couldn't even argue. Emily was guarded, no doubt about it. Then my mom turned to Emily and said, "So, Emily, don't you ever miss your own family during the holidays? Or are they still too complicated to visit? It was supposed to be a peaceful evening. Hot cocoa, old stories, some laughter." But of course, it didn't stay that way. But to my mom, none of that mattered.
Ouch.
You never say much about them.
Ouch.
You don't even have a single picture in your house. She'd just smile politely and find an excuse to help with the dishes or step outside for air. My wife, the woman I chose to build a life with, versus my mother, the woman who raised me, it made me feel like I was watching a storm crash against a stone wall. She stopped making excuses, she just said no. And honestly, I didn't blame her. Then, with a voice calm and even, she said, "They're not around anymore." My mother's judgment kept pounding, but Emily never cracked. After the wedding, it got worse. Family dinners became battles. My mom would find ways to undermine her constantly. "Why don't you eat meat, Emily? It's so strange. You really don't want kids yet? Are you sure it's not just a career obsession? Your dress is ... interesting." And Emily, she took it. Every single time, she never snapped, never raised her voice. I started to feel like I was being torn in half. Sometimes I wondered if I made a mistake. The final straw came last Christmas. We were all sitting around the fireplace. Mom, Dad, my sister Julia, her husband Mark, and us. Julia had just finished telling some story about her kids, and everyone was smiling. Dead silence. My heart dropped. Emily froze. For a second, she didn't say a word. Still, my mom pressed, clearly not picking up the cue. "'Cause they're gone," Emily said, a little quieter. "Gone." That word echoed in my head like a dropped glass. After that night, Emily didn't want to come over anymore. I confronted my mom the next week. "Why are you like this with her? What has she ever done to you?" She looked me dead in the eyes and said, "I don't trust people who keep secrets. It's that woman, she's full of them." I stormed out. I didn't talk to her for a month. But here's the thing. Emily was hiding something, and what she finally told me, it changed everything. It happened on a rainy Sunday afternoon, 3 weeks after that disaster of a Christmas. Emily was curled up on the couch with a book, her face unreadable like always. I was pacing, trying to find the right words, feeling the weight of everything between us. Finally, I just asked, "Why don't you ever talk about your family?" She looked up, startled, like I'd touched a bruise she forgot she had. For a long time, she didn't say anything.
I just stared out the window.
As the rain streaked down the glass. Then, softly, she spoke. "My dad was an alcoholic," she began. "Violent, unpredictable. My mom. She tried to protect us, but she was too scared to leave. My older brother ran away when I was 10. After that, it was just me and her. He'd come home drunk and scream about things I didn't understand. Once he threw a plate at my mom's head. Another time, he tried to burn all my school books. She let me, but her eyes didn't meet mine. My stomach clenched. I sat down next to her, unsure if I should say something or just let her keep going. I used to sleep with a chair wedged under my bedroom door. Her voice was calm, too calm. like she was describing someone else's life. But I saw the tightness in her jaw, the way her hands twisted the edge of her sweater. Because people treat you different when they know. They pity you, or they look at you like you're made of glass. I didn't want that. My mom's cold remarks, Emily's silence, all of it suddenly, it made sense. But she wouldn't do it. Said he'd kill her if she tried. I couldn't keep letting my mom talk about her like she was some kind of threat, when all she'd done was protect herself. And surviving takes strength most people can't even imagine. A few months later, he got into a fight at a bar and died. Said if I'd just been a better daughter, a quieter girl, maybe he wouldn't have hated us so much. I left home at 17, couch surfed, worked 2 jobs, put myself through school. My mom was surprised to see me, but I could tell she expected some kind of apology, and I never knew. Just like that, hit his head on the curb, gone. When I turned 16, I begged my mom to leave with me. I had a part-time job, a plan. The way she debuilt herself from the ground up, with no one but herself to lean on. I didn't know what to say. I reached out and took her hand. She spiraled after that. Started drinking herself. Blamed me for everything. I was stunned. All these years. Emily had always been a mystery. Sure. But I never imagined this. But she's been through hell, Mom. And instead of trying to understand her, you pushed her away. I squeezed her hand. Why didn't you ever tell me? She finally looked at me then, her eyes shining with something between pain and defiance. Because I didn't want you to see me as broken. I nodded slowly, letting it sink in. That night I told her I loved her, that none of it changed how I saw her, that she wasn't broken, she was surviving. But I couldn't let it go. Maybe she was tired of running. Maybe she wanted closure. Maybe she hoped my mom would surprise her. My mom brags about her daughter-in-law's job, sends her recipes, even calls her just to talk. So, the next weekend, I drove over to my parents' place alone. She didn't get one. Instead, I sat her down and told her everything. She placed it in front of her and said, I know I haven't been fair to you, but I want to fix that, if you'll let me. Not in anger, not to shame her, just the truth. I told her about Emily's father, the abuse, the years of silence. When I finished, my mom didn't say anything for a long time. Then she whispered, I had no idea. I know, I said quietly. You never gave her a chance to show you. She wiped her eyes. I could see her pride cracking, just a little. I thought she was cold. I thought she didn't care about family. She cares more than anyone I've ever met, I said. To my surprise, she nodded. I was wrong, she admitted. I judged her too quickly. It was the closest thing to an apology I'd ever heard come out of my mother's mouth. A week later, she invited Emily to dinner. I didn't think Emily would say yes, but she did. And she did. The dinner was awkward at first. Stiff smiles, careful words. But then my mom brought out Desert Timley's favorite, lemon pie. Emily didn't say anything right away, but I saw her eyes soften. It wasn't perfect after that. Healing takes time. They started over. They talked more. My mom asked questions, real ones, not loaded ones. Emily opened up a little more each time. Now, a year later, they actually enjoy each other's company. Sometimes when I watch them laugh in the kitchen together, I feel like I'm dreaming. Because the truth is, my mom didn't hate my wife. She just didn't know who she was. But once she did, she saw what I'd seen all along. That Emily wasn't hiding because she was cold, ... She was hiding because the world had taught her not to trust anyone. And somehow, she still found a way to love me anyway.